Okay, now.
Awesome. Welcome everybody to NoCoders episode number, I forget which number it is. Does anybody remember? Let's see. 200, 199, 198, I think.
Yes, because on Friday is the 200th episode.
Yeah, on Friday is the 200th episode. Normally, I would be sharing my screen. I'm having some planned internet trouble. At least the internet company let us know that we were going to have some downtime today so I could prepare, which is why I asked Juan to be here to make sure that there's no interruptions. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started. But first, if this is your first time tuning into office hours, we have Zoom sessions 6 times per week, and we invite our office hours members on, and they can ask us any bubble questions they want. And they can ask us other questions. We can't guarantee any answers, but we do a pretty good job of getting everybody situated in their apps. So we're going to go ahead and get started and see if Thomas or Jonathan have any questions today.
I do not.
No? Okay. How about you, Jonathan?
Oh, sorry, I'm muted. Yeah, I was gonna see if Thomas had anything first. I don't think I have anything like too major specifically to ask. Just a couple of things in general.
Oh, okay. Well, you can go ahead and start with that, or I have some things I've been paying attention to around the internet, so I can come up with something as well.
I'm looking at the Flexbox editor and I'm trying to make like 2 columns of repeating groups in the same like group next to each other, but I'm having some trouble actually having them like meet in the page and be responsive together, if that makes sense.
Sure. Why don't you go ahead and share your
Share
screen?
your screen, please.
Sure. Just give me 1 second.
And Thomas, if you wouldn't mind paying attention.
Yes, I got you.
Thanks.
Just give me 1 second, sorry.
Yesterday we have some issue with nested repeating group and vertical repeating group inside a horizontal repeating group with draggable features to create a board like Trello.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, but I think that there was an overlapping element that was causing that repeating group that was vertical scrolling, so like only 5 cells, became like a full list or extended vertical scrolling. It was weird. We cannot fix it, but at least we checked it, and yeah, and we determined like a plan to begin extracting elements from the page to test each element in a different page and try to find what was causing the issue.
Sure. And Office Hours episode number 85 was the first Office Hours that Eli ever came on. He was also the first guest, and he did cover some draggable element repeating group stuff. So
cool. Yeah. You guys can see this, right?
Yep.
Sweet. Yeah, so basically what I'm looking to do is have 2 repeating groups either side in the same group here. But I'm having issues like...
So you want 2 columns, right? 1 repeating
Correct.
group at the left and 1 repeating group at the right.
Yep. And yeah, I'm just finding like, look, like they're not really abiding by the margins next to each other, and I'm not sure exactly like what parent container layout to choose for this to work correctly.
Okay, I think maybe row in the parent group.
Yeah.
What do you think, Tonya?
Yep, I agree.
And then what would you do here in each repeating group?
Yep, so you would need to make them probably, instead of using pixels, well, you're not. For the width, you're using 1550. Right, so make the max width of either one of them 50%. All right, and then
Cool. So that's both of them. Yep.
what did you want the so you have margins around them, right?
Correct.
So
Yep.
try making it, instead of 50% for max and min,
compensate.
try like, yeah, like just see if like if you change it, yeah, exactly, to 45% or something, if it works. There we go.
Ah. Is it still? Just have a look.
So my
Yeah,
guess,
okay, so this is now, yeah.
yeah, so we'll have to so they're 45 and 45, so probably doing it while keeping it responsive, though. Would there ever be a scenario where you want them to, I mean, I know you want them to be responsive, but I'm wondering if we could make them fixed width, and then
Yeah, it has to be responsive for mobile in this instance.
okay.
So yeah, it makes it a bit difficult.
Let's see. You have the margins on it. I think if we, because see, the problem is the margins aren't responsive. The margins are fixed. So there's no way for me to think of like how we could do the math. But maybe if we group each one in a group and then make the group 50%.
Okay.
And then the margins would be to the groups and not to each other.
So using one of these options.
Yeah, so maybe if you group them in a...
Do you hear me there?
No,
Oh.
we didn't hear you.
I was talking previously a lot.
That's okay.
Some issue maybe with my AirPods. Yeah, I wanted to ask the same, like if the repeating groups are contained in a group that is the same than the repeating group that is below, or at least have the same behavior and max and min width.
I don't understand your question.
Because if the repeating groups at the top are contained in a group that have different measures or widths or max widths, will be making this behavior different. For example, can you click there?
Group, this group, yeah.
Can you make this group in a different color, like gray or blue, and the below the same, so we can know what is happening with the containers? Because maybe this can be affecting this.
Is that fine, or you want them different colors?
Oh no, it's fine.
Okay, cool.
By the way, welcome Adeboye and Don. I saw you come in.
Hi, Tonya.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Very good.
We'll be around to your questions in just a few moments.
Okay.
That's okay.
Also, what do you think here, Thomas?
I think everything needs to be collapsible. Like I would check every layer within and without. That makes sense.
No,
Which I guess
I
I'm trying to
don't.
understand, what do you mean by mobile responsive? Do you want it to stack on top? The first one to stack on top and the second one on the bottom?
No, not at all. I want them to be horizontally aligned and maintain the margin in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah,
Go back
Well-
to your. So you want those repeating groups to expand as all the way to the left and to the right, like the bottom group, right? Everything aligned
Correct.
perfectly.
yeah, fully
Alright.
stretched horizontally. Yeah.
Gotcha. So I wouldn't here. Let's see. Click on the main container holding test. Those two test repeating groups.
Yep.
Here, try this. Get rid of the margin on both of those repeating groups. On left and right.
Oh, maybe this check that is fixed with to content, maybe it is affecting them.
Hold up.
Uncheck
Hold up.
it
So,
or
try this.
oh yeah.
Try this. Go back. Yeah, you did that right. So on that main container group containing both those elements, the row group.
Yep.
Click the property editor. Do you see where it says container alignment?
Yep.
Go to the option all the way to the right. Yep, click that. Okay, let's see what that looks like behind that property editor. I would just expand the width of those two objects to meet in the middle. So it looks like that's 45. I wouldn't work with percentages in this case. Maybe, yeah, I would just work with
Actually,
pixels. Go ahead.
you would use pixels, but the problem with using pixels is that I mean, we can try it. I'm just thinking in terms of like,
But just mobile
You-
responsiveness and scalability and stuff.
yeah, exactly. I think
Yeah.
percentage is probably the way to go, but
I thought percentages work when you're trying to expand to a full percentage, or I guess I'm a bit confused about the usage of percentage still. But with our app and Requity, everything is built in pixels.
got it.
So,
We can try it though if you want. So, guess we'll just have to see what it looks like.
Oh, sorry.
Bless you.
Is that right? Yeah. Okay. And what? Just keep adjusting it and until it's right, or
want it to be, you want that perfect spacing in between, I imagine. So, yep. And then what
Yep.
does that look like?
I'm wondering if, I mean,
Go
I'm
ahead.
just thinking about maybe doing a nested repeating group where the first repeating group is a list of numbers and then the two other repeating groups are both in each cell, but then one is hidden in each. Because essentially what you're describing are columns, right? And repeating
Mhm.
groups are really, really good at maintaining columns even responsively.
that's a good idea. So make a repeating group that
A list-
basically will put
num-
both of these in.
Exactly. And then that repeating group is a list of numbers, and then for you just limit it to 2, and then you have it as a like a horizontal repeating group, and then you put both of those 2 repeating groups in each cell, but you hide the second one when it's the index 1, and you hide the first one when it's index 2.
Okay. So I guess, how would I test that? Get rid of one of these. I'll expand this.
Yeah, and I would totally do this on my screen, except I'm positive that my internet wouldn't support it.
Should we fit the width to content now? Yeah.
Yep. And then
I guess the only issue is that I can't make the space in the middle.
but you can, because
Oh, can I?
yeah, because now you put a group in the repeating group.
Yeah, and then hide the repeating group itself. Yeah.
Right. Juan, Thomas, do you understand what I said? I think
No.
Jonathan does. Oh, so I'm saying do a horizontal repeating group that the data source is the type of content is a list of numbers, and you just need two because you just need the two columns. And then each cell in that repeating group contains both repeating groups that Jonathan's trying to build. And then you hide one for index 1 and hide the other on index 2.
Okay. Hi, column.
Hi, Callie. How are you feeling?
A bit better. Still feeling a bit rough, but getting there.
Okay.
How you doing?
Good. We're messing around with the new responsive editor, making it work for us. One way or the other, we will figure it out. Jonathan, do you have enough to go on right now to kind of?
Yeah, I think so. Like, as you can see, that's behaving well. I think the logic in terms of, like you said, just making it so that, I guess, oh no, I think that would be fine. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Awesome.
If you get stuck, of course, come back, but we'll
Yep,
move
all good. Thanks
Yeah.
for that.
Awesome. Yeah, of course. Adeboye, how's it going? I'm sorry, I couldn't see that video you sent yesterday.
Yeah, I just saw it this morning when I got to work. That wow, it was totally black. I'm not sure what happened.
Not sure either, but how can I help?
Okay, can I share my screen, please?
Yes, please, go for it.
Okay, so it has to do with I don't know how to send data onto this page. So once I click on the list of the raw materials, I'm just confused on how to do it. You know, initially I used to use what they call the go to page function, where I will now send a result of step 1. Now, since I'm now using URL parameters, I don't know how to go about it. So I'm a little lost. So I don't know if you might be able to share some insight on how I can proceed with that.
Sure. So in your go to page workflow that sends the action that sends them to that page.
Okay, so yeah, so that is gonna be on the reusable. 1 second. So yeah, in the workflow, for instance, create new item, go to page. Yes, so this is it.
Awesome. And so right now, the item that you're sending in there, you're sending group displays text, but what you want to send is the result of step 1's unique ID.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe only result of step 1. The page is type item.
No, that's
okay.
what we did. We switched it out of being a particular type, and instead we're sending in URL parameters. So go to
okay, it's better.
For that item equals group displays text.
Yeah.
Yep. So clear that out. Clear that expression out.
Okay.
Uh,
And then you'll want result of step 1
Okay.
and unique ID.
So result of step 1, unique ID.
All the way at the bottom.
Ah, okay. So what
Okay.
does that mean? That means it's taking the, okay, let me,
yes,
So
the
that-
unique identifier of the thing that you created
Mhm.
okay.
and send it in the URL as a parameter.
Yep. And now on the next page, when we're trying to get that information, then we'll get data from URL, and the data will be called item, and then we'll make it a type item, and then it will recognize that unique ID as a record in the database.
No, I didn't, I sorry. Sorry.
No worries.
So
Yep,
sorry.
just show me where you're referencing, where you're wanting to reference that item.
Okay, so
I think
web-
it's actually on the next page, on the raw materials page.
this is the reusable element page. So this is where the page is being displayed, item raw materials, right?
Mhm.
So this is pretty much like a blank page, nothing here, right? So
Yep.
so
So
this is
where
where
you,
the URL, the reusable, sorry, Taya. Go on.
yep. So up at the top there. So it'll probably make your life a lot easier if on the main container group,
Mhm.
because that's a reusable. So if you go into the reusable, is that a
Itself.
reusable on the page?
No, so this is the yeah, okay, yes, that's the reusable on the page.
Okay.
So yeah, this is a reusable.
So if that reusable is only used for items, then you could make the reusable itself a particular content type of type item. And then you can set the data source to that get item from page URL. So I would show you this on my screen, but I can't do
Okay.
that.
Smack. But you know what we can do? You can when you do have internet access, you can just send me the workflow on what you mean. Then I can take a look at it later. And
No, we can go there. Just go to the reusable, the raw
Okay.
materials reusable.
Okay, so this is the reusable page, and I have
And then just go to but that's the add item
so
reusable.
the add item reuse. This is the actual reusable. So I have three workflows, right, that I'm passing on to the raw materials page.
Okay.
So it displays each of those reusables based on the workflow. Let me just show you the workflow. So the workflow is pretty much I add an item, right? MacBook, right? I add the picture, right? Let me just, yeah, pieces, that's it. So once what does that mean? Sorry, I don't know what that meant. Yeah, all of a sudden something is wrong. Oh, I don't know what's wrong.
Because you're sending in the unique ID of the item from the previous page
Yes.
or from the same page, whichever. Yeah,
Yeah.
so now it's showing that. Now all you need to do is in that expression where it's getting the data from the URL. Can you find that expression in the editor?
On this page.
Right there at the top, it's the get item from page URL. Yep, you just need to go into that reusable to that where that expression is.
Okay. Is this it?
Yep, just click edit item in the appearance section.
Yep.
Click edit element.
All right.
Oh, sorry, it was right there. Yeah, just where it says edit element. And then click where it says get item from page URL. and then click into the expression get item from page URL,
There.
and then change the type to be item.
So you will retrieve like the object itself.
Yep.
Let's thinking
And
it like a box where you have like a lot of content,
Yep.
Okay.
not only a
and now
text.
you can show whatever you want from that item. So I'm assuming you want to show its name.
Okay.
And now test again, and it should show you the item's name when you get there.
Okay, so no, so let me see, this is item is equals to unique ID. So this, no, this is not what I wanted actually.
Okay.
You want
This is-
that in the URL says like MacBook Pro or something like that?
No, okay, so maybe I think I probably did something wrong from the way it's panning out, but let me just, if I could just run you through what I did initially. So this is the reusable item, right? I created I created groups where each group has a unique URL item, right? So what I'm doing is that for it to display on this main page, as the item raw materials, I'm going to say based on the URL parameter that is displayed there, right? Show each of these reusables, right? Either show list of items, add item,
Got it. Okay.
item or display item, right? So now because this is my workflow process is that usually on page load, show the list of all the items, right? Then if I now want to create an item in this list, I now go to add, which based on me adding, once I press add, immediately I'm sending the parameter that it should be add item. So basically because it shows add item, then automatically it's going to show this page. Then once I get this page, now the thing is for me to add the item into my database. Now, once I add the item into my database, right, the next page is supposed to be for me to actually view the item that I've added, right? Now, because I'm using URL items, right, I didn't know how to send the data into this. So I was thinking maybe I was probably supposed to still show the URL item, then also do result of step one. Will that work?
Yeah, so we did, okay. So if you scroll up, we just changed the reference in the wrong place, I think. So if you click on that group, the group containing the whole thing that is showing the result of what they just did. Nope, scroll down to the bottom of your page. I mean, your reusable. Yeah, so on that main group, that whole group,
Yeah.
open up the editor for that, or the inspector or whatever it's called. I've never figured out exactly what to call the gray box that has everything in it.
Is the editor for it?
Okay, so that's group display. Are you sure we're in the right one?
Yeah. This is
Okay,
it.
cool. All right, so for that one, make that type of content item. And then make the data source get data from URL. So just, yeah. And then item for the parameter name. And then type item. Yep. And then now you can refer to that group's item for all of the things that are in that group. And when you navigate to it, you send in the item that was created in step one, and it will show in that group for you.
So do you want me to go and refresh the page?
Yep. Well, so we also have to make sure that you're hiding and showing things properly for it to work.
Okay. So let's see. No, so
No, so that's sending you, it's not showing that group. So let's go back to that group where we were.
yeah,
Not that
Yeah.
one, the other one.
this one.
Yep. So let's look at when that one shows up on the page.
Do you want to see the workflow?
Nope,
Oh.
nope. I want you to open up the inspector again and go to the conditionals. This elegant item. Yeah, so get item from page URL is group displays text. Where's group? Oh, nope, is group displays item. So somewhere you have a group that is of type text.
So this group display. It's not showing me item.
Right. Like that's the wrong group is what I'm saying. Is there's another group somewhere called group display and the type is of type text. And that's not the group that we just set to be of type item. So just delete that out, go back to where it is, and then we're looking for group display item.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yep. Yep, and so get item from page URL is group display item item. Why isn't that resolving? Juan, can you tell why? You're on. Juan, are you here? Oh, he's muted. Now he's unmuted. Oh, we're having AirPod issues. Get item from, click in the where it says get item from page URL.
Hello.
Oh, make
Oh,
it of
do you hear me?
type item. Yeah, there we go.
All right.
There, okay, so now that group should show when you have an item in the URL. And then go to the top one that was showing errantly. The top.
One thing in addition to what Tonya is saying, maybe to avoid that kind of issues where you are trying to find the proper group or things like that, maybe
Yeah.
you can do it for only one and name the group var item. So you will refer to always to that group, and you know that it's a variable that you are getting from your URL or from anywhere, but you know that is this one in a specific, and you don't need, and you will not be like trying to find the group in multiple that you maybe are creating during your development, like to be more organized and remember these things in the future easier.
Okay. So just to clarify, right? Initially, what I did, and I have something like that I created a pop-up for all my URL names, right? Where I created groups initially. So this group is group list, where I type content data sources list, which is what I did initially. So now I did for display, and I'm no longer using this. It seems that this is no longer relevant right now. This third one, at least. Is that it, Tonya?
Yeah, so I mean, right now I'm just talking about getting it to work, and then we can talk about optimizing it so that you only change the thing in one place.
Okay.
Because the reason that I would abstract like different, like refer to the text of something specific on the page is
Wrong.
is so that you only change it once if you needed to change it.
Okay. So I got you. Okay.
But in this particular case, you're not going, like, if you wanted to change what you call items, in the database, it would automatically change everywhere else.
Okay.
So
Okay. This seems to work now. So if I want to,
Great.
for instance, 1 second. You were
No,
saying
I
something?
was saying great that it is working now.
Okay. So now problem is to get the information from there. So what will I refer to now to extract the information that I put in the database to display it here?
right. So now the item is what is contained in that group that's containing everything else. So you would just choose parent group's thing, but you'd have to go to the parent group to pick the type of thing that your parent group is. And you just have to make that chain of data correct.
No, I don't think I got that. So I'm doing parent
So
groups.
yeah, no, I wasn't quite finished. I just had to cough. If you scroll down from where you are, scroll down to where, no, where it says select parent child.
Select
All at the bottom. Yep, where it says that drop
Yeah.
down. Yep.
Gotcha.
And so that's the first
Sorry.
thing in that list.
Yeah.
So group V. Go ahead and select that. And now go up and you have to set that to be of type item. And then the data source, click in there and you want parent group's item. And now if you go back to where you were, you see where it says parent group's item, and then you can say whatever you want it to say.
Okay. 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 I think I got this.
Awesome. Perfect. Don, how is it going?
It's going well.
I hear you wanted to get some opinions, and I think everybody here is excited to offer their opinions.
Okay, good,
We've got a good group going today. We've got several people, so.
good.
Mhm.
I have an application that is called Smoke Enders. It's a smoking cessation course that's been taught for 50 years and has helped more than 2 million people quit smoking. And I'm trying to create the third generation of that course. It was originally taught, it was originally developed in '69. It was taught in person at hotel meeting rooms around the world until 2004. And that was after nicotine patches and Chantix were developed, and they were thought to be the silver bullet that we wouldn't need to be doing any of these courses anymore. But as we know, that hasn't worked. But in the meantime, the business model of Smoke Enders didn't work and they went bankrupt. And I had quit smoking using the course in 1981 and had never wanted a cigarette after that. So I purchased the intellectual property, the coursework itself, from the bankruptcy court, and recorded those presentations and made an online course out of it, which I've been marketing now for about 8 years. Okay. The way it works, it's purely psychological based. There's no drugs or patches or anything. There's 7 weekly sessions where people used to have to go to a hotel meeting room every Monday for 7 weeks or whatever. And they receive a 30-minute presentation and are given a list of action steps. They're physical things that you need to do. Like after every meal, you can't smoke for 15 minutes. And like if you use your right hand to put the cigarette to your mouth, you got to use your left hand. The purpose is to break all the psychological and physical habits related to smoking. And at the same time, you have them change brands each week to a brand that has lesser nicotine. So the course is weaning the student off of nicotine so that after 4 weeks, they're basically smoking a ball of cotton. You gradually reduce the nicotine levels. So after 29 days, we've broken all the linkages to food, caffeine, alcohol, as well as a lot of behavioral issues, boredom, stress, all that sort of stuff. And after 29 days of completing the action steps, we've broken a lot of old habits and formed some new ones. and it's been proven to work very effectively. So previously, the students had to record their actions, like when they had a meal and when they had a cigarette and when they had alcohol and when they did exercise. They did that on a piece of paper that was wrapped around the cigarette pack. And that's still done to this day that way. And there's a new set of action steps introduced each week, which target different behavioral issues. So the quit smoking day is 29 days into the 49-day course. The remainder of the course focuses on reinforcing their status as a non-smoker. And we market this for $297 at smokeenders.com. This is what the pack strap they print down, and they cut it out and wrap it around their cigarette pack, and they make little tick marks in where they have a cigarette or where they have a meal or whatever. There's a code for how they do that. And they track 7 days worth of content on there, and they keep moving this from pack to pack as they go along. And each week, in the first week, they're not allowed to have more than 1 milligram of nicotine. And that gets smaller and smaller as the weeks go by. Anyway, we charge $297 in tuition for them to take the course. We provide a money-back guarantee. If they complete the whole course and have not quit smoking, we give them a 100% refund. We've been doing that for 8 years, and nobody has ever asked for a refund. Okay, so we're highly successful. And the action steps work. Everything about the course works very well, and I'm really afraid of messing with it because it's dealing with psychological stuff.
Sure.
And it works. So now version 1 was taught in the hotel meeting room. Version 2 is where we recorded all that stuff and we have it up online, and that's been working fine. And now I found out that more than 80% of my traffic is coming from mobile devices. And so the effort is here to move it to mobile. And so about 4 years ago, I guess, I contracted with a programmer to write the code for a mobile app, and went and sought the copyrights for it and all that sort of stuff, and spent about $30,000 having the new videos made to correspond to the way the design of the app. And so recently, I wanted to put together this app, and this is intended to replace all the functions of the online course. Provide 3 10-minute videos. It used to be 30 minutes, but we figure on a mobile device, people aren't going to have patience to sit there for a 30-minute video. So we break them out into 3 videos and give them a new list of action steps each week, and track the smoker's compliance we want to replacing that pack strap. The original design was to replicate something called a Remente app, which I'll show you in a second here. And it was a very popular self-help app, and it was very nice. I thought it was very cool how it was designed, and the interface was easy. And now that first coding was completed in 2019, but then the developer died of COVID, and we didn't have a copy of the current code, and it was written in some language that most technicians don't know anything about. Anyway, we lost it. So my son, who's an engineer, he has developed a very extensive program for his company using Bubble, become quite proficient at it. And he suggested, hey, Dad, why don't we do this using Bubble? And so we began putting things together. And this was some of the first screens that we put together. And this is to replace that pack strap. Every time you click on a button here, you click that and it logs that you took a cigarette, or logs that you had a meal, or you drank a glass of water, or you exercised for 30 minutes, or you whatever. It kept track of that. And then we played the videos on the thing. Down at the bottom of the screen, you'll see that there's 3 different buttons: the dashboard, the action, and the daily activities. And then this is what the action steps look like. Delay smoking or vaping for 45 minutes after meals. Oral gratification means brush your teeth and use mouthwash. You have to track your activities and exercise on the app. You have to add to a list for reasons to quit smoking. There's 10 or 15 things on this app. So my son wanted to be real efficient and get this done. So he changed this into one single screen, and it's a main screen. And I'll switch over now to to bubble so you can see the way it actually works. And no, that's office hours. Okay, here's the, I'm actually live. I'm doing a review right now. And so
I don't think we see what you see. We're just looking at the presentation.
Oh, I need to change the
Yeah, the window
share.
that you're
Yeah,
showing.
I gotta change the share.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, is that better now?
I think so. I think we can see it. Yes.
Okay.
Course day 1.
Okay, we're on day 1, and the navigation has changed where there's now a menu that pops up, and you can see the different things, and it says hi Dan, and this is day 1, and it'll soon have the date to correspond with that. And when you click on the first button, watch the lesson or video, it pops up the video, and it'll take you through the 3 videos, and it doesn't allow you to go, the action steps are in a repeating group, and it doesn't allow you to log a cigarette or do any of these other things until after you've watched the video. And then you can log your cigarettes, you can log oral gratification, observe smokers. This is a list of action steps. And then down the bottom is a progress bar that shows he's on the first of 28 days to the quitting, so they can see where they stand. And this basically does the same functions as everything that we were doing using the old design. But I'm worried that I'm an old guy, and I've been a programmer a long time, before any of you were probably born. When I programmed, there was no screens and there was no keyboards. We programmed with wires, okay, and punch cards. And I've designed things a certain way, and then I've lived up to that design. And here we've got this, we settled in on this design and spent a lot of money and effort and time and years to getting progress to get to this point. And now my son's introduced all this stuff, and he's willing to program the whole thing for me. And I'm happy for him to do that. And I don't want to make him mad, but I'm worried that this interface is not going to be very intuitive. And if people don't do this action steps right, the course won't work.
Right.
And above all, that's what has to happen. We have to have people to help us work. I mean, to get it to quit smoking. So I've been frustrated. I don't want to tick off my son or anything, and I just don't know.
Well, I mean, if you tick him off and he says, I'm not going to do it anymore, you're a pro NoCoder now, so we'll help you do it.
Yeah, right. I'd rather have him do it now. He's got time, and he's quite good at it. Anyway, I want to get your opinion of what you think of this. Now, we'd have to change a lot of the videos to introduce how this is handled and how to navigate it and all that, but I'm willing to commit to that. But this interface it's really elegant, but I'm not sure how it's going to be received.
So I understand your hesitation 100%, and probably I would lean towards seeing because you're talking about changing videos that took you like $30,000 to create, right?
Well, but they have to be changed anyway.
Oh, they do. Okay.
Yes, they will have to be changed no matter what, because of those at the time those videos were developed, we were developing this product to also handle vaping as well as smoking.
Mm-hmm.
But since COVID, vaping is not our target anymore.
Why?
So,
I'm just curious why.
A lot of places have made it uncomfortable. When the reason that our program is successful is that people want to quit.
Right.
And vapors don't want to quit.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
No, that makes sense.
So we've shied away from that.
Okay.
I mean, they need to quit, and a lot of those young people really need to quit, but you can't convince somebody to quit smoking. You can't convince them to quit vaping.
They have to
and
want to.
if they don't want to, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll offer my opinion first. I have two things in mind. How can we design a controlled like A/B testing, right? Because really, my opinion does not matter.
Right.
I've never smoked a cigarette ever in my life, so I really can't. I'm not your target So
Right.
my opinion doesn't matter, but
Right.
my opinion about how you can go about getting real opinions would be to do some split testing and just like have a cohort where half of the people are using like the prototype and then half of the people are using your regular program. My guess is my hypothesis that I would love to see tested in the real world is that little piece of paper that you put around the cigarette pack is going to be 100 times more effective than having them look at the app. The reason being is they have to touch that cigarette pack every time they go to have a cigarette.
That's correct.
So,
And with this, they're going to have to keep their phone on and active all day long.
I just don't think I think your instincts are right. That would be my hypothesis. But again, I'm not. I think the only way to really find out if you really want to test it before you invest a lot more time and energy and money into it, like find out the easiest MVP way of testing it with a cohort and seeing if it is as effective, or maybe it's not as effective, but you would get more people trying it with the new way than you would just the other way, the proven way. And so maybe you tell them you have this option, but when it fails for you, the real option is this one because we know it works.
Our target audience, by the way, are people over 45 years of age. Those are the people that have taken the course so far and been most successful.
And over 45 are the people who remember what it's like to not have a cell phone.
Right.
Yeah.
So in light of that, I tend to agree that the pack strap is physical and it's already there and you can't get them away from the cigarette pack anyway.
I mean, unless they're taking the time to put them in the little hard cases for cigarettes, but I honestly have only seen that in movies. I've never seen anybody do that in real life. They always have a cigarette pack.
Right.
Yeah. So, So that's mine. Anybody else have any thoughts or ideas for Dawn on this?
Are there any smokers in the crowd?
No.
Used to be a smoker, but yeah, quit it. I do have a colleague. I've been trying to get her off smoking, but she says she wants to move to vaping. So yeah.
Well, that's a cop out.
Yeah, I know.
That doesn't really solve the problem. She's still ingesting nicotine, and that's very unhealthy.
Yeah.
So,
what about you, Callum? Any ideas?
Well, as you know, I both smoke and vape, so I'm probably the target audience for this. I think, what Tanya said is probably right. There's some things that apps are good for, and there's some things that they're not good for. And I agree with everything Tanya said there. I think, it's easy to ignore your phone. It's easy not to do things. That it's the reason why personal trainers work better than a gym membership that you buy, because you can ignore a gym membership. Whereas a personal trainer, you'll have them calling you up, going, "Where are you? Why aren't you here?" But I think it's the same thing with what you're talking about with the strap that goes around the pack. I think people are more likely to do that than go to an app, just because when you want to do something which that isn't good for you, because let's face it, everyone knows it's not good for them. No one's kidding themselves thinking it's good for them anymore. If they already know that and they're still doing it, then you're not likely to go out of your way to remind yourself not to do it, when, let's face it, the only time you're doing that is when you actually want to do it.
Well, if you've already spent $300 up front, you're going to tend to pay more attention than if you casually just look at it,
Mm-hmm.
True.
True.
Oh, go ahead. Whoever's saying something.
Oh no, I was saying that for sure. After you paid $3,000
Yeah.
up front.
300. Yeah.
300. I thought that was 3,000.
You can choose thousands and
300
hundreds
is-
sometimes, friend, but it's okay. I know.
That's for some people, that's only a month's supply of cigarettes.
Right. Exactly. I live with a smoker, and he's it's a lot. But one thing I would say that I think your app could potentially augment or complement the paper route would be when you have it wrapped, you have it in the App Store and you have push notifications.
Hmm.
They allow the push notifications, and you can check in with them during the day.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
like just ask them a simple question and they can just click the answer or whatever. And so you could just, instead of having them, like, you can just check in and come up with a way to keep bringing them back to the app.
Well,
right?
we've developed a bunch of push notifications based each one of the, anytime you click on one of these buttons, it creates a transaction in a transaction file.
Mhm.
And then from our admin screen, we can interrogate that database. And if somebody, for example, they're supposed to delay smoking for 15 minutes after a meal, and we can interrogate the database and say they're not really doing that, we can give them a gentle reminder. Or if they don't log anything at all for a day, you can, get them back on track. Hopefully, there's a lot of different things we can do with push notifications.
You would know this better than I do, but I would assume that the biggest challenge in starting this program is just remembering to do these, because you reach for your cigarette without thinking about it.
That's
like
true.
You just, like it's so automatic that it's not even like, it's hard to quit just because of that automatic, oh, I've had a meal, I'm going to go have my cigarette, that kind of thing. But it's not a conscious decision. Right?
We even add to that. We make them keep their cigarettes in a different pocket or purse or whatever than what they normally do. We make it difficult for them to pull that cigarette out.
Ben, welcome, Ben. Ben is a smoker who is currently trying to quit.
Yeah.
So, do you have any? I know you missed part of it, but basically, Don has this program that has worked for 50 years, and he bought the intellectual property back in 2011 and has been marketing it as an online course for 8 years. And now he's had a mobile app that was developed by a developer. Unfortunately, the developer died of COVID, so his son has taken over and has rebuilt it in Bubble, but has changed a lot about it. And the concern is moving the tracking mechanism into the app, as opposed to having a physical piece of paper that the smoker, or soon to be non-smoker, is supposed to wrap around the cigarette pack. Is that the app would be less effective. So that's the concern.
Yeah.
Why not both?
Well, because what you put on paper, we're not going to have access in a database to be able to interrogate it and ensure that they're complying with what we're doing, what we want them to be doing.
If you have that physical thing around the actual packet, and then at the end of the day, they update it in the app or something like.
Yeah, we could have that easy enough. Yeah.
Reflection and review process that a lot of like productivity gurus talk about a lot, is that end of day reflection and review could be a positive thing.
That's good. But one of the nice things about doing it on the app is it timestamps every transaction. So we can tell that after they had a meal, they were supposed to brush their teeth, and we tell if they didn't by the clock. You can't tell that on the paper. They can just write down that they brushed their teeth and not when it happened. And stuff like that. Well, that's the things that I'm struggling with. And I also have a daughter that's a psychologist, and I need to address this stuff to her too. Because there's a lot of psychology in what we're discussing. And I totally agree with what you're saying, Tanya, about the A/B test, and the physical strap that's already around the cigarette pack is sure a lot handier than having to keep your phone active all day long.
Yep. I definitely see the value of the paper tracking. I think there's something. I mean, they've done. You could probably find the research, and you probably already have, but they've done research that students who are taking notes by hand retain the information better than students who are taking notes by typing. So I think there's just something.
Quite frankly, we know this works. 2 million people have done it that way. We've never had anybody do it this way. So that's part of my hesitancy, my reluctance.
Yeah, well, I mean, I definitely think testing things is worthwhile, right? So I think it would be worth a test, and definitely giving people the option that, like, they can try it this way, but they can always go to the way that is tested and proven and known to work.
Sure. Yeah. Well, we could introduce the app as an adjunct to the course that they're already getting online, and just give them the app as a way to record it and see what they think of that and get their feedback.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad you did this because I love having this presentation. Like, I feel like I have a really good understanding of what you're doing with your app.
Good.
So, yeah.
Good. Well, I appreciate y'all input, and that's what I was here for. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Our pleasure. Let's see, Callum. You had something to show us. You want to show us something?
I do. I also have another question because naturally I built it, it worked, and then it broke again. But yeah, I will share my screen. So one of the issues I've had since I started on Bubble was the ability to make an Instagram-like slider, so to display images and videos. Some of the issues with it are all the standard sliders out there only work for images. There was one that was created that does images and videos, but it doesn't update when the repeating group updates. So if you had, say, a list of posts, it would load perfectly fine. But then when someone else posted something, it would obviously create a new post above it, but it wouldn't shift the content down. So it would have a different post content in a different section. So I wasn't able to find a way to do that. So I actually moved away from doing it altogether and had a much simpler way. What I've done now is I found a plugin which is called Flickty Mobile Carousel. And what it does is it actually makes a carousel out of groups. So what I've done is I've got my slider here, and then within it I'm referencing so it's a list of files, and then what I'm doing is item 1 displays the first file, item 2 is second file, third file, and each of them have within them an image and a video element. And I just display or hide the image video element based on the URL that's in the file. And actually, it's worked really well. So if I click on here, it will load. It will take a sec to come through. There we go. So you can see the dots on the bottom. So the video. There we go, that's Benji, my dog. And then the slider. So you've got images, and it works fantastically. So it's exactly what I wanted to do. So yeah, so that's how I made an image and video slider, which is really good. The only issue I'm having, oh, go ahead.
I'm just saying that looks great.
Oh, thank you. The only issue I have though is the way that it works is in the workflows, you have to do, maybe I haven't clicked on it. So I haven't clicked on it. You have to basically run a workflow to make it work, which is down here. So when I click on this one, I run the workflow to make it happen, and I actually delay it happening so that the feed loads. So where are we? Here we go. So I've got the add a pause. It's pausing for 3 seconds, and then I'm using the carousel. All it is the group ID, which is attached to the thing within the repeating group, and then just all the settings. The problem I have is because I'm using a extended scrolling vertical group, when I click on this and it displays the repeating group, not all of the cells are loaded. So what actually happens is when I scroll down and it starts loading new stuff, on the pictures, you can see here, and on these ones, it hasn't got it. And that's because these are loading in real time now. So this one here, for example, I know for a fact this has 5 different images or 5 different files behind it, they're all images, but it hasn't done the carousel thing. Now, obviously that's because this slide here, or this group has only just loaded, so it didn't tell us it before. Is there a way to do it every time a new cell loads, run that same workflow? Because otherwise it's only ever going to do the top however many slides, however many posts are open, like 3 or 4 posts. Any thoughts, Tonya?
Are you there?
Yes, I was like, I'm not sure.
This works really, and this is exactly what I'd be looking for. The only issue is to get it loading as the page is scrolled.
I'm not sure if maybe it's storing in a state. I'm not sure, the scrolling, and after that trigger it again, like, and have a new rule to trigger the load. But no, I'm not sure.
Because I know you can do when repeating group is like loaded, or when something's fully loaded, but I don't know whatever way to do it per cell or per cell in the repeating group, basically, which is a pain because this is the only way that I found to actually make this work.
And sometimes this is not like reliable, that when repeating group loaded this entire is yes or something like that, because I'm not sure now, but in the past, yeah, it seems that it refers to the cells that needs to be displayed in the page. That is what they think that the repeating group is loaded, not like the complete set of data or things like that.
Because obviously it's not, because when you display something in a repeating group, obviously that's not displaying everything all at one go, because it obviously would just crash the device. If say you have like 1,000 things, it doesn't display 1,000. It loads as you scroll, but obviously if it loads as it scrolls, it's only going to do the ones that are loaded to start with. Oh, I know. I could do every second or something, couldn't I? I could put a workflow in and just continually run that workflow when the feed is visible. So when condition is true, I don't know how this is going to impact my app in terms of speed and stuff. But do it every time feeds is visible. And then, what's it called? That's our group ID. So how do I get this to repeat every? Oh no, I don't do when. Do I do every? I did the time one. Do every 5 seconds.
That's gonna kill your capacity.
That's what I mean. Do you think that's just gonna kill it?
Yeah, I do.
No.
Let's
Well, actually, no, hang on. So if we can do loaded, above above fold, is that?
It is like the first, like the first items on your page to be displayed. Yeah, let's say that you have 3 sections in your page, one below the other, but for the screen, you need like the first one only to be visible. This is something like that.
I assume, I mean, you're using an extended scroll, right? That's why it's like loading things as you're scrolling down the page, which is keeping your page load from being crazy. So I think
if I did page loaded above the fold, as I scroll that repeating group, is it then going to go, oh no, hang on, something isn't loaded, and then when it is loaded, run that flicky carousel?
You need to load each carousel when you come to that cell, right? Or to...
Yeah, basically, yeah. Actually, there is a plugin, isn't there, that can tell which is the active cell, isn't it? Which cell is being viewed, right?
What this is just an idea. what if you have a hidden variable with the next carousel data source? So when you go to, for example, to the first one, Bubble will be loading the next one, the step 2, right? Or the second one.
Yeah.
So when you scroll to the second one, Bubble will not will not need to load the second one because he already loaded it in the previous one. You don't need to change the data source because I suppose that Bubble don't, for example, when you have 2 expressions that are the same, like do a search for app settings in 10 parts of your page, Bubble will download it only once because it's the same one. So maybe if you have this like prefetch of this next step, maybe Bubble will help. I mean, this can help in the scrolling, and you can update this next step when the current cell is not like a step or something like that. A state yeah, you can have a state that is the current cell. Like for example, if it is 1, prefetch the second step. If it is 2, so when you scroll down and you view a current cell.
Okay,
like
okay.
that.
So back to that. How do you do that? How do you tell it to load the next cell? That's what I don't understand. How are you doing that?
Okay, let me think how. Okay. Give me a second. I will try to open an app here.
Because I mean that was kind of the original point, wasn't it? Was that if we know what cell's loading next, then we can just run that workflow when the next one is loaded. It's just I mean if we know how to do that, that's fantastic. That will work. Also, that do every X seconds won't work because it actually resets. It resets it every time. If you're like scrolling through the images, it keeps jumping back to the beginning. So the do every 1 second won't work either. And also, it hasn't actually worked anyway. It's just screwed up the original.
This is a reminder for Juan to speak as he works.
Oh yeah. Sorry. I because maybe I'm not speaking because I'm not sure if this will work. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Okay, what I am trying to do is like, okay, this is a test page, right? And I added here a state that will be like my step or next user number or cell. Right, but
Are you still talking or have we lost you, Ron?
I think he forgot to talk again.
I feel like his microphone's cut out or something.
Oh yeah, maybe, because I think that was Paco I was hearing in the background. I bought a new headset. Well, it's not really like a headset. I just bought ear pods from Apple. Old school wires. But that will plug in with a 3.5 millimeter to replace my one little earpiece and microphone that I have now. So I think we'll go ahead and move into after
you hear me now?
hours. Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, I won't move into
I think.
after. I'll let you finish.
Okay. Okay. To say it again, I have here the test page. Let's name better this my page. Okay. In this page, I created a state that will be the next cell number of the repeating group. By default will be the second one because yeah, we need the next one. So 1 + 1 will be 2. Here in this var next user, what I will do is to find the user that is the item number of this repeating group based on the state of my page. So at the beginning will be 2, like hard coded, right? So it will retrieve.
Where are you getting the item number from?
From initially hard coded from this state that I created.
Okay.
And then I will try to update this state to 3, 4, 5 when you are like, prefetching or scrolling or whatever. So for now it is working because the first user is admin and the next, oh, this is my page. Okay, first number is admin user, the next one is 1. If we do here, if we retrieve the list from here, we have that the first one is admin user, the second one, user number 2 is Juan, and the third one should be Aina Torres, right?
Yep.
So now we need a workflow to update the state on the page to be 3 when I scroll here, right? And that's the tricky part. So let's try. No. So when a condition is true, let's say every time, because we need to every time to be updated. And so when the state of the page, let's say, when this number that at the beginning is 2 is not repeating group user. I will create a state in the repeating group that will be cell currently visible. That will be also number. And let's say that at the beginning is 1. By default, the first one is the first one. When this is not this number is not the visible number, change the state of the page to next cell number, and will be repeating group current cell visible number. Maybe we can improve this logic.
No, I get it, but the question.
And now when this, yeah. I cannot retrieve things from a repeating group, right?
Yeah,
But
cool.
from the outside. But I think that there are plugins that let you know data from a repeating group. So maybe if we can achieve to know the repeating group cell, we can make this work.
Like repeating group tools or orchestra.
Yeah, but not sure if this will work.
The problem is if we end up using Orchestra, we're back to exactly the same place I was with the plugin that we use.
The other plugin.
Yeah. At which point there's so many entrances to a feed, I end up triggering the Orchestra thing over and over again. And that was why I moved away from it, because it just became way too difficult to handle.
Okay, Ben.
It's annoying. So I'm just wondering. I'm looking at the page. So this is actually a. Do you mind if I just share my screen quickly?
Sure.
So I'm looking at the page here. So this is actually it's Flickety here, which is it's basically been turned into a plugin, and it looks like it's JavaScript. So I am wondering whether it's possible to have the JavaScript element within. To put a JavaScript element within the cell for the repeating group, because then that way, every time the cell loaded, sorry, someone's at the door. 2 seconds, sorry. I will leave you both there for a second.
While he's gone, we're going to move into after hours. We just
All right, come back.
stop recording.
So yeah, so I was saying, so I think, would it be possible to have the JavaScript element within the cell? That way, every time the cell loads, because when you scroll, it loads. It would also load the JavaScript within it, which we're so we're talking about holding the JavaScript within the cell rather than triggering it somewhere in a workflow. Obviously, like, I know we're moving into JavaScript and stuff here. I was just wondering if you thought that might work instead.
I think that would be a question that we could pose to Pablo and or Eli.
Yeah. When are they next in office hours?
Well, actually, they're going to be here on Friday for the 200th episode of Office Hours. So.
Awesome. I will be there then. Yeah, it would be. That would be cool if it was possible, because it's. I mean, look, it's here and like it's obviously doable. It's just loading the JavaScript within the element. So yeah, okay, cool. Can we add that to the list for Friday then?
Yep, you're the first one to add anything to the list for Friday. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe this plugin. Just a second. Do you see this one?
Oh yeah, the BDK one. Yeah.
So maybe we can do something like when this text is visible, and yeah, it will it will set the state a lot of times, but it is on the client side, so I don't think it will affect too much. But yeah.
All right, we're going to move into after hours. Juan is going to press stop on the record, and we'll see everybody next time. Thank you for watching.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.